Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to create some little details here. We're going to create the little CD tray button here, and kind of a little button or switch or something that's to the left of it. So let's go ahead and let's do that. It's not too hard to do. I'm going to start off here by creating a new object, a polygon mesh cube. I'm going to take all of its vertices here and just kind of lower them in size. And I'm going to try to get the rough measurements here, rough size of this. Now obviously it's in the wrong place, so let me move it forward. Let me also scale it down a little bit. Move it into the object like this. I'm going to take this polygon, move it in a bit so it doesn't stick out too much. Okay. Next I'm going to take all of these, basically the edges that go on the corners, and I'm going to bevel those to give this thing some rounding. So I'll use the image to kind of give me a rough guide here as to how much to bevel it. Something like that looks pretty good. And then to finish this off, I'm going to take all of the front edges, I'm going to bevel those. Give this thing some more subdivisions there. Maybe bevel a little bit more like this. A good 5 or 6 of these subdivisions works out pretty good. So we end up with something that looks like this. Pretty good. Now the image shows that there is something else here on the left. The image is very pixelated, so it's kind of hard to tell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take probably the easy route and just take this guy here, make a duplicate of it, and just use the image here to kind of guide me. I'm just going to do something like this. Something a little bit smaller, like that. Push it into the model. There we go. From a distance, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that takes care of that detail. Okay, so now it's time to work on the headphone jacks down here. You can see them in the front view. They're these small little circular objects. So let's create a primitive over here, polygon mesh cylinder, since it most closely resembles the type of object that we're trying to do in terms of shape and geometry. So I'm going to rotate this about 90 degrees, bring it back over here. In the PPG, I'm going to take the V subdivisions and the base down to 1 and 1. I'm going to give this about 32 subdivisions to make it nice and round, nice and smooth basically. And the radius, I'm going to drop the radius by quite a bit because it's a little bit too high. Let me use the front view here to adjust this a little bit better. Just going to place it on the image where it should be. Radius is going to be a little bit bigger than what it looks like in the image. Okay, and you'll see why later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the polygons here in the front. Those are ones that are going to make the actual headphone jack. Those are ones that I need. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the context menu, and I'm going to go to Invert Selection. And by doing that, I end up selecting all the opposite polygons. Basically the ones I didn't have selected. I'm going to hit delete because I don't need them. Now what I'm going to do is move this guy a little bit closer to the object here. Something like this. And what I'm going to do is, and make sure you're saving, you're constantly saving. Just a very important practice there to save. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these edges that are right here, and then I'm going to go to subdivide edges, or split edges with split control will work out pretty good. Let me go to my front view here and use the PPG to control the split. I'm going to move the split out here to where kind of this black area around the red area is. Basically that is a hole in real life. I'm going to select all these edges in the middle, and I'm going to do another split with split control. Now move that to about the outer area of the pink or red area right there. Okay, so you should end up basically kind of this ring of polygons right there. I'm going to select these edges in the middle again, and I'm going to go with another split with split control, and this one's going to be the part where the little hole goes into. Okay, so something like that. Just try to follow the image as best as you can. The image is very pixelated, so it's going to throw you off a little bit, but just try to do the best you can. I'm going to select all of these polygons that basically makes this this ring right here. And those polygons are actually supposed to be a hole. So I'm going to hit Control D to extrude and pull that in to make this sort of hole right here, something like that. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is select these polygons that are right in the middle here, and I'm going to hit Control D to extrude because that is the hole where the headphone jack actually plugs into. Okay. Now right here, to make this look a little bit better, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this entire ring of edges that goes right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide these edges evenly. Now I'm going to select that new set of edges that I created, and I'm going to pull them out a little bit like this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bevel that set of edges. I'm going to increase the distance here to maybe something like 4. 5 looks pretty good. I'm going to give this some rounding, maybe about 6, 7 subdivisions, just to make that look nice and round. So you should end up with something like this. Alright, so that doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look half bad. So I'm going to say I'm happy with that at the moment. What I'm going to do very quickly here, just to keep things nice and organized and easier to find later, is I'm going to take that cylinder, I'm going to change its name to Headphone Jack. Okay? Alright, so done with this video. In the next one, we're going to see how to start to incorporate this into the object and just make it all work together.